Moiravibes.
The office affair. Mike worked in a big advertising company in the city. He was the kind of person everyone liked. He always smiled, cracked jokes, and offered to help his coworkers when they were stuck. People called him the nice guy. He had a girlfriend, Sarah, who had been by his side for 5 years. They were planning to move in together soon, and Sarah believed Mike was fully committed to her. Everything seemed normal until Emma joined the office. She was confident, funny, and full of energy. She quickly became the center of attention, and Mike found her charm hard to resist. Since Emma was assigned to Mike's team, they worked closely together. At first, they only talked about work. Emma would ask for advice, and Mike would happily help her. But as weeks passed, their conversations became more personal. They laughed about dark jokes and exchanged playful messages. Other people in the office began to notice how often they were together. Mike and Emma sat next to each other in meetings, stayed late working on projects, and even went for coffee breaks together. Co-workers whispered about them during lunch. "Did you see how close Mike and Emma are getting?" someone said. "I bet there's more to it than work." Mike noticed the stares and heard the whispers, but he told himself it didn't matter. "We're just good friends," he thought. He believed he could handle the situation without anyone getting hurt. One evening, after the team won a big contract, they went out to celebrate. Drinks flowed freely, and the energy was high. Mike and Emma laughed and drank more than they should have. By the end of the night, they found themselves alone and made a terrible decision. They spent the night together. The next morning, guilt hit Mike like a wave, but he told himself it was a mistake he could forget. He acted normal around Emma at work, pretending nothing had changed. However, Emma felt uncomfortable and avoided him whenever possible. Things came crashing down when Sarah found out. She noticed Mike acting distant and checked his phone one night. She saw photos of the celebration and messages between Mike and Emma. One message confirmed her worst fear. Mike had cheated. Sarah didn't confront Mike directly. Instead, she posted about the affair on social media, tagging the company and hinting at how their star employee and his colleague had crossed professional boundaries. The post went viral, and the company's clients started asking questions about the team's professionalism. The company's reputation took a hit, and the big contract the team had worked so hard to win was canceled. Mike was called into a meeting with HR and management. They told him that his actions not only affected his personal life, but also damaged the company's image. Mike was fired on the spot. Emma, tired of the drama and ashamed of her role in it, decided to quit. Sarah left Mike for good, refusing to even hear his apologies. In the end, Mike lost everything: his job, his girlfriend, and the respect of his colleagues. His carelessness and poor choices destroyed the life he had worked so hard to build. My boss is fooled. Mia had just graduated from college when she joined the company. From her first day at the company, Mia stood out. She wasn't just beautiful, she was approachable and charming, the kind of person who could make anyone feel special. Her company was a small startup, only 5 years old, but it had grown quickly under the leadership of Mr. Davis. He was in his late 40s, respected for his business sense, and admired for turning the company into a success. But he was also deeply lonely. Years ago, he lost his wife in a car accident, and since then, he had focused only on work. Mia saw this as her chance. She had grown up poor and was determined to climb the ladder no matter what it took. She realized early on that Mr. Davis was not just her boss. He was also a man who desperately missed the care and love he once had. At first, Mia kept things professional. She worked hard and made sure to stand out. But soon, she began to find ways to charm him. One evening, Mr. Davis caught a cold and looked exhausted at the office. Mia noticed and quietly brought him tea. You should rest, she said with a concerned smile. The company needs you to stay healthy. A few days later, she surprised him by cooking him a meal and bringing it to the office. I thought you might not have time to eat properly, she said. Mr. Davis was touched. No one had done something so thoughtful for him in years. Mia started dressing in a way that reminded him of his wife when she was young, simple but stunning. She even styled her hair similarly after hearing an older employee mention what Mrs. Davis used to look like. These small actions didn't go unnoticed. Mr. Davis began to see Mia as not just an employee, but someone who understood him. Their relationship grew closer. Late nights at the office became more frequent, and Mia often stayed to help him with work. She listened when he talked about his struggles running the startup and shared ideas that made him feel supported. You're wise beyond your years, he once told her. She smiled, knowing her plan was working. With time, Mia became his confidant. Mr. Davis gave her more responsibilities and even promoted her to a senior position. The company's other employees began to whisper. How did she rise so quickly? They asked. Some thought she was genuinely talented, but others suspected she was using Mr. Davis. One day, Mr. Davis invited Mia to a prestigious trading fair. It was a chance to network with some of the biggest names in the business world. Mia dressed in her finest, looking confident and sophisticated. At the event, she caught the attention of Ryan, the son of a major corporation's CEO. Ryan was young, handsome, and clearly impressed by Mia's charm and intelligence. The two spent most of the evening talking. Mia laughed at his jokes, shared her ambitions, and made sure to highlight her achievements. Mr. Davis noticed her growing closeness with Ryan and felt uneasy. He approached her later and said, You seemed very focused on Ryan tonight. Mia smiled and replied casually, It's all about networking, Mr. Davis. This is good for the company. But in her mind, she was already planning her next move. After the fair, Mia began ignoring Mr. Davis more and more. She spent less time in the office and focused on building her connection with Ryan. Mr. Davis, still trusting her, gave her space, believing she was working for the company's benefit. A few weeks later, Mia resigned without much explanation. She had secured a high-paying position at Ryan's company, thanks to her charm and their growing relationship. Mr. Davis was left heartbroken. The gossip in the office exploded, with employees criticizing his judgment. Mia, on the other hand, moved on without looking back. She had used Mr. Davis and the company as a ladder, leaving behind the damage she caused.
Trusting too much? Anna was the kind of person everyone liked. She worked at a small marketing firm and was always polite, friendly, and ready to help anyone who asked. She believed in teamwork and thought that being kind would naturally lead to success. Recently, Anna had been working on a big project for weeks. It was for one of the company's most important clients, and she wanted everything to be perfect. Late nights, detailed presentations, and endless phone calls became her routine, but she didn't complain. Her co-worker, Lisa, was also part of the team. Lisa was ambitious and had her own plans for success. She wasn't as hardworking as Anna, but she knew how to get ahead in the office by charming the right people. One day, Anna shared some of her ideas for the project during a team meeting. Lisa listened carefully, nodding and smiling. Later that week, Lisa came to Anna's desk and said, "You're amazing at this, Anna. Can I help you with anything?" Anna, happy that someone was willing to assist, gave Lisa some tasks and even showed her parts of the presentation. What Anna didn't know was that Lisa had other motives. She wasn't helping Anna to be kind. She was gathering information. Lisa started telling the client small things about Anna that weren't true. She made it seem like Anna wasn't confident or capable enough to handle the project alone. As the deadline got closer, Anna noticed that the client was becoming distant. Emails were shorter, and feedback was harsher. She tried her best to fix things, but she couldn't understand what was going wrong. Then, during the final meeting to present the project, something shocking happened. Lisa took over the presentation, using Anna's ideas and calling them her own. The client seemed impressed and even complimented Lisa for her innovative approach. Anna was too stunned to say anything. After the meeting, Anna confronted Lisa. Why did you take credit for my work? She asked, her voice shaking. Lisa just smiled and said, Relax, Anna. It's just business. Word about what happened spread through the office. Some coworkers sided with Anna, but others didn't want to get involved. Anna felt betrayed and lost her confidence. In the end, Lisa's actions paid off for her. The client chose her as the main point of contact for future projects. Anna, however, decided to leave the company. She realized that her hard work and kindness weren't enough in an environment where people played dirty games. Anna learned a painful lesson. Not everyone in the workplace can be trusted, and sometimes kindness is taken for granted.
Misunderstanding. Sam was a new hire at a big hotel. She was friendly, hard-working, and especially beautiful. Many of her male colleagues liked talking to her because she was easy to get along with. She didn't mean anything by it, but her cheerful personality started to bother some of the other women in the office. At first, Sam didn't notice anything unusual. She focused on her work and enjoyed her job, but over time, she started to feel left out. When she walked into the lunchroom, the female co-workers would suddenly stop talking. When she sent emails asking for help, she often got no replies. One day, Sam accidentally overheard a conversation in the restroom. A group of women were talking about her. She acts like she's so perfect, one said. She only talks to the guys because she wants attention, another added. Sam felt her face go red. She left the restroom quietly, pretending she hadn't heard anything, but their words stayed with her. Her only friend in the office was Laura, a girl from another department. Laura was supportive and often reminded Sam to ignore the negativity. You're great at what you do, Sam. Don't let them drag you down, Laura would say. But things became worse when Sam started working closely with Brian, Laura's boyfriend. Brian often helped Sam, especially with heavy tasks like setting up equipment or carrying files. It was an innocent interaction, but someone had told Laura that Sam was flirting with her boyfriend. Sam thought Brian was just being kind, but others started whispering, and Laura started to doubt Sam. The turning point came during a company retreat at a hotel. That evening, Sam volunteered to help the event team set up for the next day. She stayed late in the hotel kitchen, organizing materials and making sure everything was ready. She was about to finish when Brian walked in. Need a hand? He asked, smiling. Sam hesitated. She didn't want more rumors, but the work was heavy, and Brian seemed genuine. Sure, thank you, she said, trying to keep things professional. They worked together for a while, arranging supplies and moving boxes. But then, Brian's behavior changed. He started standing too close and making comments that made Sam uncomfortable. You know, he said, leaning against the counter, you're different from the others. You're special. Sam stepped back, uneasy. Thanks, but I should finish up, she said, avoiding eye contact. Brian moved closer. Relax, he said with a smirk. We've got time. Before Sam could react, the kitchen door swung open. Laura walked in and froze. She saw Brian standing close to Sam, and the scene immediately looked wrong. Anger flashed across her face. Sam, how could you? Laura shouted. She didn't wait for an explanation. In a burst of anger, she slapped Sam in front of everyone nearby. Sam stood there, stunned, as Brian quickly stepped away, pretending he had done nothing wrong. Laura, it's not what you think, Sam tried to explain, but Laura didn't listen. I trusted you, Laura yelled before storming out. Sam was shocked and humiliated. She tried to defend herself, but Laura didn't listen and walked away. The next day at work, rumors about the incident spread like wildfire. Sam felt like everyone was judging her, and she couldn't focus on her job anymore. Eventually, Sam decided to talk to HR about what had been happening. She explained how she had been bullied and misunderstood by her co-workers. The company took her complaint seriously and started an investigation. Although HR addressed the situation, Sam realized the damage was already done. She decided to leave the company and start fresh somewhere else. The experience taught her a hard lesson about office politics and how easily misunderstandings can escalate.
The fake friend. Tracy seemed like the quiet, friendly type. She wasn't loud or talkative. Her calm and gentle way of speaking made people trust her. Everyone in the office thought, Tracy is so kind. She listens and never shares secrets. But what they didn't see was that Tracy's quietness was just a mask. Tracy was good at noticing things about people. She listened carefully, remembered details, and used them when it suited her. She didn't gossip all the time, but when she did, it always caused trouble. She would act like she didn't mean to spread stories, but in truth, she knew exactly what she was doing. One day, Kate, a coworker, sat with Tracy in the break room. Kate was upset and needed someone to talk to. "I feel like the boss is giving me too much work," she said, sighing. "It's like he's pushing me to my limit on purpose. Moreover, we were working late last night on the new project. He stood very close to me to explain some details. He didn't do anything, but it made me feel, I don't know, uneasy." Tracy tilted her head, pretending to be sympathetic. "Oh, I see. That does sound uncomfortable. Did you tell anyone else?" Kate shook her head. "No, it's probably nothing. I think he just wanted to make sure I understood everything. Maybe I'm just overthinking." Later, Tracy was in the kitchen with some colleagues. While they chatted, she said, "Kate was talking about how stressed she feels. She thinks the boss might be using her to do all the tough work." Then, after a small pause, she added, "You know, Kate told me she felt uncomfortable working late with the boss," she said in a low voice. "She said he got really close to her, like, too close. It sounds a bit worrying, doesn't it?" The coworkers were shocked. "Are you serious?" one of them asked. Tracy shrugged. "I'm just saying what she told me. Maybe it's nothing, but it sounded like she was really upset." Her words were enough to start a chain of gossip. Everyone kept exaggerating the story, and it quickly got out of hand. Soon, the whole office was whispering about the boss and Kate. People started saying things like, "Did you hear what happened between Kate and the boss?" And, "I heard he harassed her during late-night work." Kate didn't know anything about the rumors until a colleague asked her, "Are you okay? I heard about the boss and what happened." Confused, Kate asked, "What do you mean?" That's when she learned about the gossip. Kate felt her heart sink. She had trusted Tracy, but now her words were twisted into something else. She confronted Tracy in the hallway. "Why did you say those things about me?" Kate demanded. Tracy looked surprised and acted innocent. "I didn't mean to," she said softly. "I just mentioned what you told me. Maybe people misunderstood. I'm so sorry if it caused trouble." The rumors caused a lot of problems in the office. Senior management got involved, and the boss had to defend himself against false accusations. Though he was cleared, his reputation was damaged. Kate felt embarrassed and guilty, even though she had done nothing wrong. Tracy, on the other hand, kept her quiet and sweet act. Most people didn't realize she was the one who started the gossip. The fake credentials. Zach had always wanted a better life. When he saw the job opening at a well-known company, he knew it was his chance. The job required a degree in marketing and 5 years of experience. Zach didn't have either, but he was confident in his skills. He spent the weekend creating a perfect resume. He added fake degrees from a good university and listed jobs he never had. They won't check everything, he thought. Zach aced the interview. His confidence, charm, and knowledge impressed the hiring manager, and he got the job. He worked hard, learned quickly, and even made friends in the office. His closest coworker, Liam, was friendly at first, but Liam began to notice small things. Zach didn't know some basic industry terms, and his answers to certain questions were vague. Liam felt something wasn't right. One day, during a team lunch, Zach talked about his previous job at a big marketing agency. Liam smiled politely, but later checked the agency's website. There was no record of Zach ever working there. Liam felt jealous. He had spent years building his career, and here was Zach, getting promotions without proof of his skills. He decided to investigate further. Liam found Zach's university didn't have him in their records. He also noticed mistakes in the timeline of Zach's work history. Liam saved all the evidence and thought, I need to share this with HR. The next week, Zach led a presentation for a big project. He spoke well, but when a client asked a technical question, Zach froze. He tried to answer, but gave the wrong information. Liam saw his chance. After the meeting, Liam sent an email to HR, including everything he had found about Zach. HR called Zach in for a meeting the next day. Zach's hands shook as he entered the room. The HR manager asked him to explain the inconsistencies in his resume. Zach tried to defend himself, saying, I've worked hard here and proven my value. But the HR manager didn't agree. You lied about your qualifications, Zach. That's against company policy. We have no choice but to let you go. Zach packed his desk in silence. His coworkers, including Liam, watched, but didn't say much. Zach felt embarrassed and angry. He had been good at the job, but his lies had caught up with him. As he walked out of the office, Zach thought about what had happened. He realized that while his skills were real, his dishonesty had ruined his chances. For Liam, exposing Zach was a win, but it left the team divided. Some admired Liam for his honesty, but others felt he had gone too far. The office moved on, but the story of Zach's fake credentials became a cautionary tale for everyone. Lying might open doors, but the truth always finds a way out.
The pretend heiress. Lily worked at a fashion marketing company in the city. She was young, stylish, and always knew the latest trends. Everyone in the office admired her sense of fashion and her confident personality. When Lily first joined the company, she quickly realized that most of her coworkers came from wealthy families. They talked about luxury vacations, designer handbags, and private schools. Lily, on the other hand, grew up in a small town with a modest background. She worked hard to get this job and didn't want to feel different from her coworkers. To fit in, Lily started telling little lies. My dad is a businessman, she said during a coffee break. He travels a lot, so I barely see him. She also mentioned that her family owned a villa by the beach, even though she had never been to the beach in her life. At first, no one questioned her stories. She dressed well, spoke confidently, and seemed like she belonged in the glamorous world of fashion marketing. She even started posting photos of expensive cafes and borrowed clothes on social media to match her fake image. One day, the office organized a charity auction event. Everyone had to donate something valuable. Lily panicked because she didn't own anything fancy to contribute. To avoid suspicion, she lied again. I'll bring my mom's vintage Chanel bag, she said. Her coworkers were impressed and couldn't wait to see it. Over time, Lily's lies became harder to manage. She avoided personal questions, changed topics quickly, and always found excuses to stay away from team outings. But one coworker, Mia, began to notice the cracks. Mia was curious about Lily's background. She looked up Lily's social media posts and realized that many of the photos were taken from other people's accounts. One day, she overheard Lily on the phone, speaking to someone about struggling to pay rent. Mia decided to dig deeper. She asked around and found out Lily came from a small town, not a wealthy family. Mia shared her findings with other coworkers, and soon, the office was buzzing with whispers about Lily. When the charity auction day arrived, Lily didn't show up with the Chanel bag. Instead, she made an excuse about it being damaged. But her coworkers already knew the truth. The gossip spread quickly, and Lily's fake image fell apart. She felt embarrassed and stopped talking to her team. She tried to focus on work, but the tension was hard to ignore. Eventually, Lily left the company. Her lies cost her both her reputation and her job. She learned the hard way that pretending to be someone else only leads to trouble.
Working with the ex. Lynn and Ted had been a couple back in college. They were young and full of dreams, but their priorities didn't align. Lynn wanted stability and a clear career path, while Ted was passionate about music, always practicing his bass guitar and dreaming of becoming an artist. They broke up 8 years ago because they were too different. Now, Lynn was a marketing manager at a leading company. When her boss announced a new collaboration with a famous musician, she was excited until she heard the name. "You'll be working with Ted Grant." Her heart skipped a beat. Ted? The Ted? The boy she'd left behind in college was now a renowned bassist with millions of fans. Their first meeting was awkward. Ted greeted her with his usual confident smile, but Lynn felt the weight of their history. "Long time no see," he said casually, though his eyes betrayed surprise. The project was to promote a new line of headphones, merging Lynn's expertise in marketing with Ted's star power. From the start, they clashed. Lynn proposed a professional campaign, while Ted wanted something creative. They both wanted to prove themselves. Lynn would come up with marketing ideas and Ted would suggest changes. When Ted presented a strategy, Lynn would point out flaws. The meetings were full of debates, and their teams noticed the tension. "Your idea is too boring," Ted said during a brainstorming session. "And yours is too risky," Lynn shot back. Lynn found herself thinking about the past. She remembered why they broke up. His ambition sometimes made her feel like she wasn't enough. Ted, too, was conflicted. He admired Lynn's creativity and determination, but working with her reminded him of their disagreements. He didn't want to feel anything for her, yet he couldn't ignore the way she smiled when she explained her ideas. Then the meeting was canceled for a while. The boss wanted Lynn and Ted to get to know each other and discuss on their own. They would report the agenda 2 weeks later. One evening, Lynn stayed behind to finish some work. She wandered into the rehearsal space and saw Ted practicing his bass. His focus was intense, his fingers moving effortlessly over the strings. Ted was passionate, and he'd worked hard to get where he was. Lynn didn't know that Ted saw her the same way. Though he was rejecting Lynn's ideas during meetings, he admired her for her effort and determination. When he observed she was working, she wasn't just leading the project. She was supporting her team, listening to their ideas and ensuring everyone felt included. The Lynn he knew in college had been ambitious but a bit self-centered. Now, she was a true leader. Their turning point came one evening after an event. Lynn's team had worked hard with Ted's band to make the launch successful. As they left the venue, Lynn was talking to her assistant, not noticing the group of fans nearby. Some of Ted's fans stood outside, hoping to meet him. When they saw him with Lynn, the crowd became excited. Someone yelled, "Who's that with Ted?" "Is she his girlfriend?" People pulled out their phones, taking photos and videos. The fans came closer, and Lynn started to feel uncomfortable. Suddenly, one fan rushed forward with her phone, trying to get a close-up picture of Lynn. Ted noticed right away. He grabbed Lynn's hand without thinking. "Run," he said firmly, pulling her with him. Lynn was shocked but followed him as they ran down the street. The crowd shouted behind them, but Ted led her through the busy area, dodging people and cars. Lynn's heels made running harder, and her heart was racing. "Where are we going?" she asked, breathless. "Anywhere away from them," Ted answered with a small smile, still holding her hand tightly. As they turned a corner, Lynn suddenly remembered something from years ago. She thought of a day in college when they ran together on a beach, laughing and talking about their dreams. Back then, they imagined a happy future where they could balance their passions and love. Ted stopped when they reached a quiet alley. He looked at Lynn, his face serious. "Are you okay?" he asked. Lynn nodded, catching her breath. "This feels familiar," she said, laughing a little. Ted smiled back. "Yeah, except now we're running from fans, not just playing around." Lynn laughed. "You haven't changed. You're still full of energy. And you still can't run fast," Ted joked, his smile wider now. They stood there for a moment, waiting for the fans to leave. Lynn looked at Ted closely. He wasn't just the fun, carefree boy she remembered from college. He had grown into someone who could take charge and protect others. Lynn felt her heart soften. For the first time in years, she saw a glimpse of the connection they once had. Maybe, just maybe, this wasn't just about work anymore.